Hello, everyone. This is Janelle from Pleasanton, California, and welcome to Huell's Gold.
Well, here we go. Here we are. There it is.
There it is.
I'm Chris. That's Alan. You know it by now. There's
Took that away from me.
There's so many hours of us talking. If anyone's still listening, they know who we are by now.
That's true.
For all you first-timers out there, I'm Chris.
I'm Alan.
And this is Huell's Gold Podcast, where we still
Worship
Huell.
Hauser.
That was all unrehearsed, whether you want to believe it or not.
That's perfect.
So, Death Valley. I'm coming straight out with it. Have you been there?
No.
Of course not, right?
Yeah, during the last Super Bloom, we were living up north.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely wanted to go then.
I thought you were going to say Super Bowl because this is Super Bowl Sunday.
No. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
The game's going to be even though I'm talking to people from Los Angeles who I'm sure love the the Rams. You wish.
You sound like such
you
a
wish.
noob
You
right
wish.
Oh, man. Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday, I guess, is a big American holiday.
Well, we ended up having a Pro Bowl party instead of a Super Bowl party.
I know.
We
You were
switched
all
it up.
set to have a Super Bowl party at my request, and then you just you bailed.
Yeah. It was. I can't watch it.
Whatever, dude. I mean, it's just throw, catch, slam.
It will be cool if
You're
the
still
first
gonna
year the
watch
Rams. I'll have it on in the background.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So obviously have to pull for the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people listening to this don't even care about football, but if you do, there's a California team in the race. So
that's mostly why I'm bringing it up, because Huell's kind of second home, third home, fifth home. I don't know. Los Angeles.
yeah,
The hometown team for 1 or 2 years again. He would be proud. He would go.
he would.
He wouldn't go to Atlanta to the game. I mean,
We don't. I mean, he's from the South. I don't.
I know. Maybe he was visiting family or something. I'm just excited that they brought back halftime heat.
No,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
no, I don't.
It's a wrestling show during the halftime. So, pop over to halftime heat.
Wait, when did halftime heat start? Was that after?
It was when like Sunday Night Heat was on in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Definitely watched Sunday Night Heat. There was another Sunday night show before Sunday Night Heat. Forget.
Yeah.
It was on for a very short time because I
Yeah.
just tried to catch it before.
Super Estrellas. That was the Luchadors. Anyway, Death Valley. Yes, you haven't been there. No, I haven't been there either. Do you have any desire?
Watching this episode, yeah. I mean, there are a few things that are interesting, but the wildflowers definitely aren't. I mean, we have our own out here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you hear that the rain is going to potentially have another super bloom this year?
I
guess all over the state. There's been so much everywhere.
We should do a tour. Maybe we will go out to Death Valley then.
Or our northern homies, Jeremy and Gina, said that they always want to go. And
True. Yeah. We'll get Jeremy on.
let's do it. Yeah, Death Valley. It's one of those places that, like, I want to feel the most extreme heat and the most extreme cold, like that stuff that's going on in Midwest right now, like the negative 40 degrees.
Like in Fargo, negative 51 wind chill.
Like I want to go there, check it out for like an hour, just bone out. Like I don't want to. I don't want to live in.
Oh, this is what Mars feels like.
Either way, if you listen close this week, I've already talked about wrestling once, which is pretty early for our show. Right as the theme starts, after our intro this week, there's a little bit of a woo.
Yep.
So a little Ric Flair shout out there, but not really. Huell is he's so blown away by
the California boy, Huell Hauser.
Yeah. The
catch on?
I don't know. Sure.
He's kind of a nature boy, but
he likes to be in nature. He's all up in nature this episode.
True.
But that cold open this week, Huell is just standing on like one of these overlook vista type things on the side of the road, and the wind is a slap in his face.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like 2 or 3 moments when he kind of loses his bearings a little bit, and he's like, just a little goofy movie style giggle in there.
Giggling Huell, yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you notice how he described the place, though?
I did. But...
as desolate, bleak, and God-forsaken.
I mean, that's kind of rough. I mean, it doesn't even look that bad, really, like when you see it.
It's a nice shot, actually. Mm-hmm. But
I just wonder, like, this has been a good long set of episodes that Huell has been wearing these, like, white denim kind of painter's pants. Like, what was going on?
It just made his shirt pop.
I guess. I mean, 1995, was that, like, a time when stuff like that was going on? I was, like, in 4th grade, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Either way, this really is kind of the first real time that we're going to have one of these more modern style California's Golds, because we only have one clip this week. And it's just this short little intro bit that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. And then it's just straight going the entire time. So, should we just hit it?
Yeah, let's hit it.
All right.
We were not prepared for the beauty of the place. It was my first trip to Death Valley, and all I'd ever seen or heard about it was that it was dry and barren and very hot. Now, don't get me wrong, there were a lot of rather barren-looking open spaces, and the huge mountains did look rather foreboding. But during our 4-day adventure, we discovered Death Valley to be a place full not only of life, but of beauty and constant surprises. It's our newest national park, covering over 3.3 million acres, the largest national park outside of Alaska. And driving around it, you definitely get the feeling of how immense it is. And spending some time there, you learn to appreciate how much it has to offer.
Well, there it is. All 30 seconds of this week's clips. Sorry, people. You got to hear us talking more this time around. But it's weird to think that this was his first trip ever to Death Valley.
Yeah.
I mean...
well, Death Valley, it's one of those places where you always mean to go. Mm-hmm. But when you start planning it, it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, like this last summer when Aaron and I did our big road trip through California and all that, Death Valley was one of those places because we were going to go up 395, and I thought, why not just shoot over and just see what it's like? And it got vetoed real quick by Aaron. But at the same time, like, we were on a whole different kind of trip. But it's just, yeah, it was so easy to just be like, why? Like, you got to drive an hour inland to go to Desolation.
Yeah, it's right on the border of Nevada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this time, it was the newest national park, which is odd because was it a state park before? Do you know?
I don't know.
Should we look it up?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
This is amazing.
Well, it was in the national realm of things. It was declared a national monument by Herbert Hoover in 1933, National Park, 1976.
Oh, there you go.
There I go. But, yeah, Huell mentions that he's there for 4 days, and his shirt doesn't change a lot, so I don't think he took a very big duffel bag with him.
Or he had 4 shirts.
4 denim shirts and 4 pairs of white.
He seems like a simple person.
Totally. I don't think when he gave all of his possessions... No. Okay, I'm correcting my own self from saying something wrong and stupid.
Okay.
Because I thought, he probably didn't give all his clothes to Chapman when he donated all his possessions. Wrong I am.
But he did?
He did. I don't know about everything. I don't think they have like his underwear and socks or anything. But I found somewhere deep in the bowels of the internet, like the manifesto or something, like some kind of inventory list of everything that Chapman got. And in one box is a bunch of Tommy Bahama shirts. So in the archive, next to all the other cool Huell stuff, his laundry's in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Didn't you?
Would you think if they could preserve his scent, they could bottle it?
Essence of Huell? Honestly, we never talk ill of Huell around here.
No, sir.
I don't think he smelled great.
What?
I mean, think about it. He's stuck in a car most of the time, driving around with those hot leather seats of the Explorer.
Maybe, but
Obviously not changing his shirt that many times.
do you
4
remember
days in Death Valley
But
he
you
brings
remember
one
how
shirt?
I mean, he's freshly shaven every day. I imagine him to smell like aftershave.
But those kind of dudes, like those, like, okay, how do I explain it? Those kind of guys that are just so warm-blooded that they sweat, like, as soon as they get out of the shower, even if it's 50 degrees outside? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Do you think Huell was that?
I don't know. But we've seen some sweat stains on his shirts a number of times already. But it's weird, though, because he's not sweating here. Because they went in the springtime, and he meets up with old Alan Van Valkenburg. Such a good park ranger name. And he says it's in the springtime, and it's, I think, like 60 degrees there. I'd go to Death Valley during this time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So what did you find out on old AVV?
Bro, not much. Like, I saw his name pop up, and that he had a listing on LinkedIn, but TBH, I was too lazy to sign into my account, so I didn't see any information.
I thought you were afraid that he was going to see that you looked at his...
No, I was slamming to get through this episode.
So I did.
That's what I can always count on.
I did check out LinkedIn. I don't think he's on there. There's there's like 7 or 8 of them. People with his name. If you thought that was a unique name, especially to have LinkedIn,
and it's a unique spelling of Alan because it's got the A like you do, which is unique, but only one L.
Yeah,
Alan.
Alan. I put it in quotation, so it was searching that specifically. So I did
something, right?
I did. Well, yeah. I found his Facebook.
Okay.
So, but I don't have a Facebook, so I can't. Very limited what you can see.
Yeah.
And he is.
We have the Huell's Gold Facebook.
Oh, that's true.
You have access to it at any time.
Good to know. Okay, so as far as I can tell, he's living the best years of his life in Merlin, Oregon.
Merlin, Oregon, huh?
Yeah. But he did comment on the super bloom, and if I'm remembering back to the article, this was 2016, yeah.
Okay,
so, yeah,
that's what I remember.
Yeah, and he said he first encountered it in 1998. That was his first super bloom, and he was kind of thinking about all these old timers, these park rangers that talked about in a very like nostalgic way about old super blooms.
Yeah.
And he thought it was just over the top calling it a super bloom just to oversell it.
Yeah.
He said until he saw it in 1998. And then he understood what they meant by it.
Kicked his keister.
Yeah, and that was in 2016 when he made that comment in the article he was quoted, and it said that he lived in Death Valley for 25 years.
Wow.
So I don't know. I'm going to put that he was there for 25-ish years because I don't know if he was still there for the article or if he had already moved. So, yep.
Well, it's very obvious as soon as we get rolling with old Al Dog that he knows his stuff. Like, he seems to be really learned about the flora and fauna of what's this place? Death Valley. Because as you heard from the title, Life in Death Valley, we're looking at all the life here, and the whole point of this episode also is that you really got to look hard. And he doesn't make it very easy right off the bat because they go to that, what was it, Badwater? The lowest place in the Western Hemisphere?
Yep. 282 feet below sea level.
That's so gnarly. Like, standing at that place and thinking of 200 feet of seawater above you.
That it's crazy. I was thinking if they built a drag strip, that would be an optimal place to do it.
Well, I mean, it is wet there, so maybe not.
No, that's true, but in terms of the below sea level.
Totally.
lower sea level, the better. That's why Famoso Raceway out here is so good.
Is that why?
Yeah. I think we're only a few hundred, like 600 feet above sea level.
I got to tell y'all, folks, we hype Kern County a lot. And there's a lot of different things for a lot of different types of people. I have always heard of Famoso, and it tends to attract a certain kind of like, you know, like nitro freak, really. Like,
yeah.
I had never gone until, what was that, 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2014,
Alan,
I think.
you know, is a closet gearhead, gashead, I don't know what derogatory thing to call you. You took me and Kathleen, and who else went?
Alex went.
Yeah. It is so weird and fun.
We got that gross Chinese food, and then we sat and watched the jet car. Like there was the nitro cars,
Yeah.
which were crazy because they're 5-second cars. Those are crazy, but the jet car I think was the most ridiculous. It was the most over the top.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, you know, that kind of thing, drag racing exists in other places, but there's such a feel to that place.
Yeah. No, the culture here it's super.
It just seems
palpable.
like,
I don't know what to call it.
like I've never felt like I time traveled to the 70s more in my life than going out there. It was cool.
That was
So,
back in the old racing days, though. I don't now. I'd like to observe it.
Yeah.
Don't really.
Well, have
some
you
days I
driven-
wish.
Have you driven on that drag strip?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Oh yeah.
In what?
Honda Civic I had. You didn't know this?
No.
You just figured this out?
I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah.
just went. When you said you went there, I thought you were just hanging.
No. We would.
I didn't know amateurs were allowed to do this.
Yeah, they have street night or whatever they call it over there, and you can have as many passes as you want. Your car can't
Wow.
below 11 seconds, kind of thing.
That's
Not-
insane.
Oh yeah, I was a terrible driver though. Like that wasn't. It was actually. We had a friend. I won't say his name, but we had a friend. I don't know if he wants to be on the show. We had a friend who was. We called him the driver, and he drove all of our cars. So I did it a few times. I'm just not the best driver ever. I was
Okay.
way better at putting the engines together.
Dude, it's still crazy that you've done that on that track. Like, having seen it and seen the craziness that went on in there, I'm sure, like, your Civic wasn't getting as wild as those.
No, not at all. But still, it's super nerve wracking.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
yeah,
bet.
maybe one day we'll take the Miata out there.
Let's do it. Maybe we can do a live taping of the show from there. Anyway, back to this Alan. Alan Van Valkenburg. When we're at Badwater, he's looking for the life, and all we're seeing is insect larvae and snails. And there's,
Yeah.
what, like 2 seconds of a shot of it?
Yeah, I think this is one of the things where it's. I'm trying to put this nice. I feel like AVV oversold it a little bit because even Huell says, what does he say? What does he say? Well, when he first talks about Badwater, AVV says, "Water is not poisonous, just bad to drink." And then Huell says, "Oh, okay, that's a bad way to start,
Yeah,
but
no.
okay, let's go ahead and do this." And then he was, basically Huell was saying, "Why are we starting here?" And then he had to explain how you have to look very, very close to appreciate
Yeah.
the life in Death Valley.
And, I mean, we're not even there for very long. You can tell Huell maybe was, like, thinking, this might not be a complete episode. We need to find some other things happening. So right after that, they're just like, obviously, as they're leaving Badwater, they see, oh, these people are getting totally blown away by this wind.
Oh yeah, and that person's still taking a picture. Look,
I know.
just posing. Louis almost loses the camera because I'm sure it weighs 22 pounds.
It's the first time Louis' actual like
Paw.
body
Oh.
is shown on, like, we've seen his reflection in windows, but the camera obviously almost gets blown off his shoulder because his hand goes in front of the lens for a second as these crazies are taking pictures in the Badwater.
Well, apparently they were getting hit in the face by I almost said dirt devil. That's a vacuum cleaner.
By a bunch of small
A
vacuums.
dust devil.
Yeah.
And they said it was the salt or the little crystals were hitting them in the face. And they're just taking a picture.
Hey, man.
Like it's a
Exfoliation,
warm Alabama evening or something.
of all places. But yeah, Huell is really kind of giddy whenever the wind is blowing really hard because he's giggling more here too. Like he's really into the high wind part. But then like, you could tell Alan or AVV really thought like, man, I gotta up the game. We got to get some real life going. And what does he do? Goes and finds the tiniest little wildflower.
Okay, before we get there, though.
What happens?
Big Al dog. Let's call him Al. Okay, it's probably easier than AVV. If he had just 2 letters, it'd be a lot easier. So, when they're walking up the hill,
Yeah.
he first tucks his back of his shirt into his pants.
Sure does, yeah.
Which, by the way, I didn't realize Ranger Green was that. I don't know why his green is just popping. That doesn't matter.
Usually it seems a lot more muted. His is
It's wild.
rich.
Rich in color, yeah. HD. So he says, okay, dude, he says this. He tells Huell, your program is California gold. These up here are the desert gold. And
How long before this interview do you think he thought of that? I was just like, bro, I can't wait.
So I'm sure that was the thing he planned out the most.
Totally.
I will say that for sure. But it reminded me of how we talk about we have family members, we have friends, and there are people in general who refer to California's gold as California gold.
Yeah.
Dude, it just made me laugh. That's all.
To explain what we're seeing here, it's kind of like a small, I forget, it's a volcano outcrop or something that AV calls it, and it's got a small little sprinkling of yellow flowers on it. From a distance, it barely has a yellow hue to it, but when you get up close, you see there are a lot of flowers.
These are the belly flowers, right?
Yeah, that was a funny term, Huell. What? What's a belly flower?
You have to get on your belly to see it.
Yeah, I did not think that's what it was going to end up meaning. And first we see the flower pods of the chorizo, and then from there, what was it, the 5 dot or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be a hot flower.
Looks cool.
Yeah, it's a little kind of purpley pinkish flower with 5 red dots on the inside, and Huell really is into the flower. He's always been a wildflower guy. I mean, he's been to the Antelope Valley Poppy Reserve. He went to Daffodil Hill. He's here. I wonder, when did you say that Super Bloom was? That
It was 16.
Okay, so Huell was already, but the one prior
98?
98. Huell must have gone, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it was even I remember that being talked about as a kid. Either way, where are we going from here? Where do they go?
Do they go to...
It's hard to keep track of this because Huell didn't like break it up.
It's weird because he said our next stop, I counted 8 stops. So they just hammer through things. They get to the community college.
Oh, those,
group
yeah.
next.
I had to look it up because I could not tell what they were saying.
It's saying
Clackamas.
Clackamas. Okay.
Clackamas. Clackamas Community College out of Oregon City, Oregon.
People are just making that up.
Dude, right? It's probably Native American.
I'm sure it is.
But either way, I guess there's this group of students that come out to Death Valley for 20, like it's the 20th year that they've been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was a rhetorical question.
Okay, there you go.
And it's their spring break. Now, would you have done this on your spring break?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, you're not a biology or geology guy.
I mean, I entered CSUB as a geology major, actually. I think you knew that.
I do. I just, it's so deep in the recesses because you went in the complete opposite direction.
Oh,
in
yeah.
college. But
oh, yeah.
It does seem like a cool trip. Like if I was into biology, thinking I'm up in Oregon, because you're already in such a cool kind of natural environment, you're going to want to go see some desert. Like, get me out of this rain.
Yeah.
Get me out of this rainforest up here.
Have you ever heard of the community college going on a week-long trip, though?
No. There's got to be some, like, really dedicated faculty that are into that kind of thing. Like, for example, I'm doing my student teaching right now,
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher I'm with, he's the head of the calligraphy club.
Mm.
Now, do you think that the calligraphy club is going to continue once he retires in a couple of years? My vote is no.
Probably not, yeah.
Like, it goes with the clubs tend to go with the passions of those who are leading them. Sometimes students, like I remember when the anime club started in high school, like that was purely student driven.
I was thinking of actually the garden at CSUB. There's always someone who's really pumped, but it takes so long to get approved that they're gone and it dies. It's happened multiple times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think community gardens are more of a thing now. Like it's probably going. We haven't been to BC in a while, so.
No, CSUB.
CSUB has one?
No, they're supposed to.
Oh, it's dead?
Yeah.
It's as dead as Death Valley. But these students, like, they're finding life. Like, the reason that Huell and Aldog even go up to him is because they're all kind of surrounding something. And it's just a lizard, which they never tell us. I don't think Louis got Alan saying what kind of lizard it was.
No, he said, it's a beautiful black stripe.
Yeah. Then there's a caterpillar, and then that blister beetle.
Ooh, it looks super sketch.
Yeah, I wouldn't be picking that thing up with my notebook like these community college students were.
No, did you notice? I kind of like the community college students, the vibe, though.
Totally.
Because Huell said, that's something to see in reference to the beetle.
Yeah.
And then some kid in the background, it's pretty low. He says, it's also something to avoid. Huh.
I didn't hear that. You listen with headphones. I think that's the advantage there. Oh,
okay,
man.
but now we got to get to... So, first thing that popped into my head is Muscle Man on a budget.
Dude, right? So he's like the teacher here, right? He's got to be.
I hope so, yeah. What if he's the student?
I don't know. He kind of looks like your friend Brett a little bit to me.
He does look like Brett.
Yeah. You're saying Muscle Man on a budget because he just... he kind of cut his own T-shirt, his own muscle tee out. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Henley too. It's a very unique look.
It's definitely from the neck up, like a new age firefighter group, a firefighter look.
Oh well, I mean, goes along with he looks like your friend Brett, the firefighter.
Right, but that's kind of a thing. It's like anyway. I mean, hat, glasses, stash.
Hey man, at least. Oh, totally. Like, this guy, if he was around now, like, I would not be surprised if we saw him wakeboarding on a lake. Like, that's just, he looks like a fun-loving guy. But he talks about geology and biology and stuff. So he's obviously kind of like that intellectual, more brainy type at heart.
And I'm pretty sure I heard him say something as well.
What?
Toward the end there. When they're walking away, I think it's you have it paused here. Uh-huh. Huell says, "Wow, I learned a lot."
He did say that.
And then Muscle Man on a budget. Mm-hmm. He says, "I know you did."
Dude, no way.
I'm pretty sure he said it. Oh, you want to check it out?
Yeah, let's check it.
Okay.
This is amazing.
Dude, that is some confidence right there.
What a guy.
He totally said, "I know you did." I mean, I think maybe he wasn't speaking just about what he was saying about the whole experience, but in the edit, he did not come off well.
No.
So from from the community college, we go on to a lake, which Huell is beyond surprised to see. And I got to tell you, it's cool and all, but it pales in comparison to my favorite line of the whole episode.
What's that?
Well, like Alan, Aldog, A-Dog over here, he's really trying to stress.
That's so funny. I haven't, yeah?
You know what?
Oh, yeah.
So Huell and Alan are walking down from a hill, and Alan says, well, be careful of your footing. There's all this life coming up right here. He emphasizes life real good on there, too.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Way to play it up.
Gosh. We go down to this lake, and as per usual with old Huell, he just starts slamming right out into this lake.
He does. And yeah, you're right.
Alan is not slamming.
No.
Holding back hard.
He says, out there, it's just gonna crack. It's not gonna, you don't need to worry about it.
And the look, did you see the look on Huell's face? Like his whole kind of body language when that scene goes down? Because it's like Alan is pulled back. He stops, and then he tells Huell, and Huell stops, looks down, and just stands proud. It's like no caring whatsoever.
So Huell does ask a key question. Let's call it that. He says, "Are there any fish in the lake?"
Yeah. I mean,
a temporary lake.
Yeah.
It only lasts like 2 weeks.
Well, you can tell he's in that mode where he's like talking and not listening and just already on to the next thing, head turned around. Because thankfully, Alan did come up with some life here. Mm-hmm. Some very tiny wisps of algae that is growing on this salt on the side of the lake.
Well, speaking of salt,
what
does Huell do? What does he do in the salt bed or the water? He takes his ring finger and his index finger, just scoops a bit of water, and just pops right on the tongue.
Can I taste this? As it's already going towards his mouth, and Alan's like, yeah. Maybe not more than that, though.
He's like, if you eat too much, it'll do a number on your system. I think that's what he said.
Yeah, it was.
But the first thing that I was thinking about was the finger dip in Mono Lake.
Totally, yeah. Which prompted me when I went to Mono Lake, I posted it on our Instagram, to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting water.
Atrocious?
It was so gross.
Well, how would you describe it?
Okay. So, the salt in that lake is very, it's so thick feeling. Like, because I remember also I picked up one of those brine shrimp and I had them like squiggling in my hand. The feeling of like a film on my hand from that lasted for hours afterward. Because from there we went to Bodie, and I still felt the salt, and I could feel like a layer, like a thin, filmy layer on the inside of my mouth from having tasted that. Mm-hmm. No thanks. Yeah. Go do a lot of Huell stuff, but don't do that.
Yeah.
That was not... I can't imagine how people feel like swimming in that. Did I tell it on the show? We were in Bodie because it's all the state park system still, like all their radios are for the whole area.
Was it the streaker or the?
Pretty much, yeah. We were because Bodie is like 20, 30 miles away from Mono Lake, and we're in the gift shop at Bodie, and on the radio we hear, "Dad, can we get someone to go out? There's some people swimming, getting on the tufa." Yeah, the girl's topless. And the radio's blaring. It's like a walkie-talkie radio blaring in this small gift shop. And everyone just looks over. And the ranger's all red-faced, like, trying to turn it down.
That's awesome.
She's all filmy after that.
Well, the salt, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, Huell's talking to Aldog.
Yeah.
And then it's just so funny. He's talking about the salt, and he says, "Can we take it home and put it in a salt shaker?" And then old Aldog says, "No, because you can't take anything home from a national park."
And it's like, we know, Huell has even mentioned this before when we were in Bristlecone. And he's like, make sure, I know you can't take anything. Like, I want one of these pine cones, I think is what he wanted. Bro, you knew.
You know he has a collection, a secret collection.
Well, you mean Chapman does now.
Chapman, well, I don't know. Maybe you can't give national park items to Chapman. Maybe he has a secret
I'll bet you Chapman has it that's just not out on the floor.
Okay.
Because you remember, or you haven't been there, I forgot. There's all these display cases of lots of things of his. Mostly things from the show or gifts from fans, just anything kind of related to him. I want to go back for many reasons, but one, I want to like really scan the recreation of his office.
Oh yeah.
Having like watched all the shows now and done a lot more in-depth research to see like, what was this fool? What were all the little things on his desk, and what if I could place them? If anyone's going to the Huell Hauser exhibit anytime soon, do some research for us. One more salt thing I forgot. So while they're there, Huell's picking up salt. He's messing with the algae. Aldog's getting all science on him. They see like one of that really big salt crystal. Remember the big old square thing? And Alan points it out. Huell exclaims, "That? That just looks like a piece of paper." It did look like a little gum wrapper, but like, bro, it's obvious. It's all salt.
Yeah.
It's all salt around you. Where do we go from here? Another
Really,
stop, right?
We just do just a bunch of quick ones.
Yeah.
So basically, we go to look at the daughter.
Do you remember?
Bodder.
Were we with you guys in the Kern River Valley?
Yeah.
And I like
This is the same stuff.
that's the same stuff.
Oh, okay. So we've seen it. Touched it.
Yeah. I just pulled over on the side of the road, Huell style, real quick. Yeah, because this stuff, if you see it, it looks like orange silly string sprayed all over little plants.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when this first kind of invaded the Kern River Valley when I was a kid, no one knew what it was because it was like new to the area, at least to my family. And it was straight up everywhere. It looked weird, like horror movie weird. All of a sudden there's bright orange sticky string all over the plants. Like I thought like an orange Spider-Man Venom character was going to come around. Anyway, yeah, it's daughter, Dodder, part of the morning glory family, and it is a parasitic plant species. Kind of like mistletoe.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. Mistletoe, which is another parasitic plant that has invaded Kern County's own Hart Park.
Invaded Christmas as well.
Yeah.
So Huell gets a handful and describes it as very wet, very sticky, and very strange. And then we're off to the next spot.
Which it looks like we're going up in elevation from here on out because I think they're at like 3,000 feet the next stop.
So they go to 6,000.
That's okay.
Because Huell mentions the 3,000.
Yeah. And the first stop is to see that Panama Daisy, which is definitely the biggest flower we see in the whole show. The biggest life. The most life we see is this big old daisy plant, which...
well, we do see the trees, though.
Oh, I guess that does count.
But yeah, this is definitely the biggest flower.
Biggest flower, yeah.
And the coolest looking.
About hip level. And then they're slamming up on this dirt road, and all of a sudden we're in Death Valley, but there's snow.
It's weird. In the spring.
It is crazy. I shouldn't be surprised. National parks are always pretty diverse in the type of environment.
Well, and I also wonder where you take the tram up from Palm Springs and you end up
the San Jacinto.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be going there in the show for sure.
So it's the same difference. It's a crazy difference in temperature.
I remember wanting to go there instantly as soon as I saw that episode. And I told you about it, and you're like, "Oh, Kathleen's done it."
Yeah. She had the coolest... Speaking of field trips, they did day trips like that for environmental science class.
At the community college?
Oh, yeah. They went whale watching.
Bro.
They went to Joshua Tree.
What kind of...
I know. When I took a science class over here, everyone's dreams have died.
I guess so, yeah.
No one cared. So it was a very, very different experience. But, okay, so we got Huell crunching some snow.
Yeah.
And then we head back down to Salt Creek.
Yeah. Which apparently Alan has been waiting all these 4 days that they've been there to show Huell. And do you understand why? Like why this place is the place that he wanted Huell to stop. Like and wrap it all up in.
No, I don't know. Do you know?
No.
To me, it's cool. I mean, the what was more interesting I'm sure if you
Yeah, we're not
into biology,
guys.
it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But if you're into isolated adaptation,
that is kind of cool, though.
that's cool because we're used to land islands, but this is a water island.
Yeah.
And so there's been, I guess, just evolution over time there, and that's relatively interesting. But other than that,
They're little fish.
they're little fish.
Little
so.
pup fish, which I wonder if these are similar enough to the ones in the Coachella Valley we were at a couple weeks
that's
ago,
right,
that
yeah.
Oasis. You know, I'm sure I've seen pup fish a lot. I'd never heard that term before just recently with this show.
Well, there you
I'm
go.
going to not look it up, though,
Okay.
because
Yeah, don't do it.
I don't know what to even say. I don't care enough. I don't know.
It's just you're not sufficiently interested.
There you go. The time to caring ratio is very low. That doesn't make sense. So, yeah, this is where we totally end. Like, we are done here. Huell even continues the interview through the credits. No outro theme, nothing.
Yeah, he just has a little. It's a closing interview, and then we get a summary of what we did, and then you get the sales pitch to buy his VHS.
But did you hear in the last bit of the interview, Huell ends with a little segue. This is the first time this has ever happened. I can't imagine he even knew what he was really doing. He said that they didn't even get into the interesting people that live in Death Valley, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, that other day is next freaking week.
What?
Do you know where we're going next week?
Death Valley.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. Honestly, I think I might have just slammed through this episode because I don't remember very much of it at all. The Scotty's Castle.
Sounds fun.
I'm ready to rewatch this because it looks. I mean, there's a castle in Death Valley.
Right. The people are always buck wild too that live in these places. So.
Totally. Like the interesting lady who lived in the spot where that tunnel was that Jeremy went to in Mojave.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was cool. So, does that kind of wrap it up?
That's it.
Yeah, wow.
We're good to go.
One last thing, though. The nice people over at KCET, who we have talked to a lot of times, have let us in on a little event that they are kind of, sort of involved in. It's, what is it called? The Stories We Tell. Public television in Southern California. It's part of the Marie Northrup Lecture Series. And it's happening at the Richard J. Riordan Central Library on West 5th Street, Los Angeles. There's, of course, going to be a link in the bio of this episode. But this...
we'd say that it's Sunday, February 10th at 2 p.m.
Yeah. So a week from this Sunday. We'll talk about it again real quick next week, just hoping that you listen like the morning this episode goes up. So if you're in the LA area or anywhere close, you can slam over there.
We'll start the episode with it.
We should,
It's
yes.
Immediate reminder.
Good call. Because it's at 2 p.m. at the Mark Taper Auditorium in the Central Library. And basically, here's the deal. They're going to screen the episode of Visiting about the Central Library. Then here's like, gosh, I wish we weren't so busy and far away. Because this is totally something I want to go to. There's a panel with Huell Hauser Productions producers Harry Pallenberg and Phil Noyes.
Noyes.
Noyes. It's one of those names I've seen on the credits 1,000 times. In fact, I found Phil Noyes' Facebook page, sent him a message to try and interview him. He has yet to check it because the little checkbox is not next to it.
Come on, Phil.
So if anyone goes to this, tell Phil to check his Facebook. Get in touch with Huell's Gold. Come on the show. And, of course, our good old buddy, Luis Fuerte, who will be selling his books. You better buy that book if you're there. We did.
Get it autographed if you're there as well.
Of course, yeah. Might as well. This looks like a really cool thing. It's in partnership with Chapman, KCET. They're all in it. Man, I wish we could go to this. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I can't do anything.
If you do go, any loyal Huell heads out there, email us, huellsgold@gmail.com. Huell's Gold Facebook page. Message us somehow. Tell us what happened. Give us the inside scoop.
Yeah. Or maybe we'll do a small interview on the show.
Totally, yeah.
If you want to be on.
Like, if you got a good story, I mean, if you're going to say, like, hey, it was cool, thanks, but give us the juice.
We need some juicy stuff.
Yeah. Either way, this is a good one.
Yeah, I thought so.
I miss the clips. I like hearing Huell's voice more than ours. But what are you going to do? There's always next week.
There's next week, yeah. It's always next week.
There's next week.
For the next 7 years, there's next week.
Yeah. There's next week and every week where you should come along with us
Ooh.
as we continue our search for
Huell's Gold.